As a kid, possibilities are endless. You have all these years ahead of you. You're naive as heck, and you believe you can become anything. I remember when I was 7 years old, I saw a YouTube video about the youngest person to summit Mount Everest, and it was a 12-year-old. And I'm like, 12-year-old? That's a big boy. When I'm 12, I'll be able to do that. Or I read another article or saw another video of this entrepreneur who was 13 years old or was 16 years old. And I remember thinking, 13? That's big. When I'm 13, I'll have my own company. I turned 12, I turned 13, I've finished high school, and I've done none of that. I've done nothing exceptional. And that's when reality starts to hit. You look at all these successful people, and when they were kids, they were already doing crazy stuff. Oppenheimer was giving scientific lectures when he was 12. Mark Zuckerberg had already coded a messaging platform when he was 11. And heck, Tiger Woods was swinging golf shots when he was 3. It feels as though all these people were just born different. Or like all of them were just prodigies. But then I recently picked up this book, Hidden Potential by Adam Grant. The core message of this book is that success or getting to the top echelons of any field is more about your character than your inborn talent or inborn technical skill. And his basic idea is that success has more to do with character traits, with your character and the approach you take rather than something that is just determined at your birth. And he starts off by talking about the psychologist Laszlo Polkar, who is determined to prove that genius is something that's trained and not something that you're born with. He was so dedicated to this mission that he sent letters to some lady explaining his vision, asked her to marry him and have kids with him so that he can raise them to become geniuses. He took the field of chess, and his goal was to make his children chess grandmasters. He not only succeeded, but he succeeded well. One of his daughter went on to become not just a grandmaster, but the youngest person to hold the title of grandmaster at that time, even beating Bobby Fischer. And all of this was done in an era where women were believed to be stupid and unable to play chess. What I further find inspiring about the story is that it's in chess. I've always had this feeling that technical fields like chess, math, computers are fields where people who are naturally smart excel in because they just have a higher processing power which helps them in these fields compared to, let's say, a humanities. But at the same time, I find this hard to take inspiration from because these were girls who were brought up in the perfect circumstances with parents who from birth single-mindedly worked on making them geniuses or grandmasters or whatever, right? That's not the case with most of us with normal childhoods. And so there's another story which I find way more inspiring. It's of another chess grandmaster, Morris Ashley. He wanted to build a successful chess team. And if I were to task you with, making a successful chess team, your best bet would be to take kids who are already prodigies, naturally smart kids, and then train them. That's not what he did. He found kids who were interested enough in learning chess, and none of them were geniuses, none of them were stars, they were B grade students, there was even the class bully, and all of the students in the team were people of color from poor backgrounds. They were just in middle school when he brought them under his wing, and he trained them to become one of the best chess teams in their category in America. So, and if a group of average children who had no exceptional ability, who were just interested in learning chess with guidance, could be trained to become geniuses, perhaps we all can as well. But again, these were still middle schoolers in their formative years who got the right guidance. What if you're not a kid anymore? Is it too late? And my favorite example to show that it's not is not in the book. It's David Goggins. He was 26, he was black and 135. And he weighed 135 kilos when he decided he wanted to become a Navy SEAL. And he did that in just 3 months. And what makes this even more impressive is that there were so many odds stacked against him. Like he was born with a hole in his heart that means his heart pumps at 75% less efficiency than the average person. And that also means that he's at high risk of problems while doing endurance stuff. And this is the guy who ended up becoming the only person to complete 3 different special forces training, which are Navy SEAL training, US Army Ranger School, and Air Force Tactical Air Controller training. And he's done a bunch of other crazy things like holding the Guinness World Record for the most number of pull ups in 24 hours, among several other things. And again, continuing on the theme of people who had the odds stacked against them and made it anyway, there's Evelyn Glennie, who's the world's best percussionist. She has won 3 Grammys and the Polar Music Prize, which is apparently the equivalent of a Nobel Prize but for music. However, she had one disability. She was deaf. And the way she makes out different pitches is by their vibrations, the way it feels in her bones and her body. That's the way she differentiates between different pitches. It's crazy to think that one of the best musicians is actually deaf. Another person who didn't have the odds stacked in her favor was Melody Hobson, who's the first black woman to chair a Fortune 500 company. Right, the odds really were not in her favor. Right, she lived in a single family household with her family was in such a poor financial condition that they couldn't afford a geyser to heat water. She would heat a metal plate on the stove and then put it in water to heat it up. And yet she went on to graduate from an Ivy League. She went on to graduate from Princeton. And no, she was not smart. No, she was not rich. She was not a Nepo baby, nor was she a natural genius, as this clip shows. She got in. She got in purely due to her character and work ethic. One story that truly captures her drive and character is when her school bus broke down when she was on the way to school. All the other students in the bus waited for a backup to come and pick them up and drop them to school, while she walked to school. I think that's pretty based. Another another commonly held belief or myth, one that I've held, is that we're all born with innate gifts or talent, and we have to find those innate gifts and talents. Like we have to find that thing where we are slightly better than our peers at, or we have to see what we were good as kids, and that's the thing that we should work on. And I'm all for playing on your strengths and developing your strengths and using your unfair advantages. But I also think this is a limiting belief because then it leads to you abandoning things just because you were not naturally good at to start with, even if you really want to do it or if you could excel at it with practice, right? And one of my favorite examples of someone who really wanted to get good, who became good, but was not really considered good at their thing starting off is Tom Brady. Now, like most Indians, I don't watch American football, but I've heard his name. I've heard he's the undisputed GOAT of American football. First of all, he started playing American football, only in high school, which is actually pretty late compared to a lot of athletes. And his draft reports at the time had nothing great to say about him. All of them went poor build, skinny, lacks great physical stature, lacks mobility, lacks a really strong arm, one of the slowest quarterbacks. Nothing that's Nothing that signals he has exceptional ability within. However, he had the qualities of discipline. He was obsessed with the game. He studied the game, and he ended up becoming the GOAT, even if he didn't have, the natural outward characteristics or skills of a typical, football player. And one of the ways most people's capabilities are judged are in school on grades and school marks. And if you don't score very well on a subject you like, it's tempting to think you're dumb or maybe that subject's not for you. But one of the greatest architects of all time, Sadao Ando, I don't know if I pronounced that right, is the only architect to win 4 of the field's most prestigious awards. The man whose all 35 buildings didn't fall in the 1995 Kobe earthquake, and he didn't do too well in school, even in architecture. Even Van Gogh didn't paint until he was in his adulthood. And so that's the takeaway. And all of the limiting beliefs we hold for ourselves, we're not born to do it. We're not naturally good at it. It's not our thing. We're not smart enough. We're not born smart enough. We were not good at it for kids. That means it's not meant for us. It's too late to start. All of these limiting beliefs, I feel like this book sort of broke for me. And it's going to inspire a series of videos on what makes one a genius. Now, one of my favorite case studies from the book that shows success as a result of character is that of Melody Hobson, who's the first black woman to chair a Fortune 500 company. Right, the odds really were not in her favor. Right, she lived in a single family household with her family was in such a poor financial condition that they couldn't afford a geyser to heat water. She would heat a metal plate on the stove and then put it in water to heat it up. And yet she went on to graduate from an Ivy League. She went on to graduate from Princeton. And no, she was not smart. No, she was not rich. She was not a nepo baby. Nor was she a natural genius, as this clip shows. She got in. She got in purely due to her character and work ethic. One story that truly captures her drive and character is when her school bus broke down when she was on the way to school. All the other students in the bus waited for a backup to come and pick them up and drop them to school, while she walked to school. I think that's pretty based. Another Another person who didn't have the odds stacked in her favor was Melody Hobson, the first black woman to chair a Fortune 500 company.